Experience tranquility.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Iris Podcast. I am Ski Free Yeti, joined as always by your panel of NPC, Specs, and Nick. Welcome, everybody. Week 4 is in the books. We're going to hop right into it because we got a loaded podcast today. We're going to start off by wrapping the one feature match that took place this week, which was the Fighting Potatoes taking on Boop last night. Potatoes get a big 3-1 win. NPC, break it down for us.
This was definitely Potatoes' night to win. They've been getting better all the time. Boop started off really strong. They took the first map. Potatoes adapted very quickly to their play style on Temple of Anubis and were able to turn things around and make that comeback 3-1. Fighting Potatoes are getting a lot of attention after this win. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of eyes on the Potatoes going forward. Boop is still finding their footing. They're practicing together as a team almost every single day, and they brought in an official coach. They're making small tweaks to their lineups, finding the best, team comps, that kind of thing, trying to get better. Everybody loves the underdog story. We like seeing these teams, go from having a losing streak to actually putting forth some competitive play. Teams like Illusion are stepping in and helping out Boop a lot with their team play. And we want to see good competition. I think we're starting to see some of those lower tier teams that got a late start in the season to actually taking off and getting some wins. So I think we're going to start seeing that soon.
Yeah, the Fighting Potatoes and Boop, it was a really interesting match. I think Fighting Potatoes kind of needed a win to get some positive momentum. They've had a couple of really tough losses, dropping 3-2 to both Maelstrom and also, I forget who they played last week. Thank you, Jetpack Cats. Two brutal, end of the game losses. Something to point out, I don't believe they've won a single control map yet. That's not a good sign. They need to work on that control map skills. But I mean, we've seen what they're capable of. They pulled some 3-2s against some very good teams in both Maelstrom, obviously, and Jetpack Cats. So Potatoes looking to make some big bounces here. As for Boop, obviously they got some work to do. There's no question. They're still figuring it out. We're seeing some improvement without question, but
yeah,
they're not fully there yet.
They're close.
They're close.
They're getting there.
I think they're good. Yeah.
Give it a week.
Yeah.
Give it about a week or so more, but they're getting their huge improvement week to week. I'm happy to see it for them.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I like a lot of the changes that they're making. Shadowfang looks really good on off take too. Yeah, I think he definitely was a shining star last night for Boop. I would definitely say that. Anyways, guys, we had a lot of matches this past week here, and I kind of want to run down some of the scores for you. Carol's Pandas took down Pacified Pythons in a 4-0. Carol's Pandas looking to rebound from those early forfeits they had. Spare Change had a bye at a 4-0 win there. Vitamin C took a big win against Minty Hippos, 3-1. Then we had Maelstrom up against Undead Battery, and Maelstrom took a very convincing 4-0 victory there. Karma takes down Comets 3-1. DDoS takes down other way around. Jetpack Cats took DDoS down 2-1. And Illusion fell to the Holy Jalapenos in what a lot of people definitely saw as an upset, 4-0. And then finally, obviously, also Boop and Fighting Potatoes last night. Fighting Potatoes took it 3-1. Going into the Discord tier now, we have Invictus going 4-0 to the Meteors. We have Eclipse taking a forfeit victory over Otaku, who is undergoing some roster changes. We've actually seen it now, by the way. They just added a bunch of players, including all-star support from last season, Flufflepuffs. The fluff is back, everyone. Watch your heads. Next one here is Renovadio took out Alta for 2-1. Instalock with a big 4-0 win over Harmony and Chaos. Vex. Infius Gaming falls to Prodigious 3-1. One Last Ride with a big win over Tough Luck 2-1. And Aimbots over Sugar Rush 3-1. And then last but not least, Commit with a very challenging bye victory. Getting the full pro. Guys, it was an interesting week. Any surprises for everyone?
I think the biggest surprise for me was Holy Jalapenos taking 4-0 over Illusion. Illusion are a very tough team. And I mean, just seeing that dominant victory. I mean, Illusion wasn't down any players or anything. They just had an off night. And Jalapenos are definitely getting hotter every week.
I was going to say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We were expecting to put up a little bit more of a fight, but it just wasn't our night. Just how it goes sometimes. Kudos to them. They played really well. We just didn't have an answer for Johnny Robot on the Doomfist. He's insane.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Originally I would have said One Last Ride. I thought, watching that VOD back right away was, really telling of how they were playing. And I realized Tough Luck wasn't playing with Kingdom, and that's a team playing without their leader. So that win didn't mean too much to me at the end of the day. But they looked decent. I think Meteors, they look really solid again too.
I think the interesting thing with the Tough Luck One Last Ride game, which I think is one of the more notable wins and last week, like you said, Kingdom was missing. But I think we have to credit One Last Ride because they still had to take on a very game Tough Luck team. I think Tough Luck is struggling on some things right now, but I think they're going to work it out. That's a team full of MVPs. We've talked about that before. I think the surprise for me of the week, honestly, I have to go with Illusion. I still can't believe that. It's not a slight on the Holy Jalapenos. We played Illusion last week. It was like a tale of two teams,
Mm-hmm.
I know, Nick, I'm sure you're bummed about it, but at the same time, like, Holy Jalapenos, good job stepping up. Like, Johnny Robot is kind of insane on that Doomfist, everyone. You might want to pack a Sombra or a May or something for next time, everyone. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy, okay? But Jetpack Cats won over DDoS. But I noticed that blue was missing on DDoS. So we've got a blue on the Jetpack Cats and a blue on DDoS. Have we seen them in the same place at the same time?
I can't confirm
Just I don't want to be that guy, but I mean,
Oh no!
Is this worse than smurfing?
Tranquility. I don't know.
The Tranquility community is in shambles, everyone. We are crumbling.
We're crumbling.
Crumbling, everyone. All right, moving on now, guys. So obviously week 4 was a very interesting week. A lot of you submitted some of your more interesting plays that I have compiled into a little montage, so everyone enjoy. Thanks for submitting your plays, guys. Sorry, there's a little bit of scuff in there. I may or may not have edited that video at 1 in the morning. Facts, yo. We did have a couple problems with the video, but hey, these things happen from time to time. Anyways, guys, we did spend some time this week bringing back a segment from last season that was quite popular, and we are bringing back the power rankings. Power rankings, if you don't know what those are, they're basically tier lists, except more specific. So, you want to take a look here, we do have the tier list for both teams. And the way this worked is we had about 13 or 14 rankers. Each of the rankers would rank all the teams in each tier 1 to 15. I would then take average rank for each team and use that to compile a master list of power rankings. And these are the top 10 power rankings here for each tier. So we're going to start off with the Harmony tier. We do have Maelstrom coming in at number 1, Karma in at number 2, Vitamin C at number 3, Careless Pandas at 4, Illusion at 5, Jetpack Cat 6, Holy Jalapenos at 7, DDoS at 8, Minty Hippos at 9, and Undead Battery in 10th place. So, interesting there with the Harmony tier. We're going to now move to the Discord tier. Discord tier power rankings. We have Commit or the Commit at number 1, Aimbots at number 2, and maybe a little bit of a surprise there, Meteors at number 3, Tough Luck at number 4, One Last Ride at number 5, Sugar Rush at 6, Prodigious at 7, Invictus at 8, Instalock at 9, and Renovatio at 10. A little interesting here, guys. I'm sure there's going to be some controversy.
Yes, definitely some controversy
Start in
here.
the Discord tier here, guys. What do you think?
Discord tier, I think the big surprise for me is, like you said, aimbots. I think people are ranking them based on their potential, not necessarily their past progress. So teams like aimbots maybe ranked a little higher, and Instalock I think is ranked a little higher. Maybe they shouldn't be on the list based on their past performance, but I think seeing their performances this week and going into the future is where people are ranking these a little bit higher.
Yeah, I agree. I think aimbots, they're really good. Don't get me wrong, but second right now as it stands in power rankings for the Discord tier, I would have put them top 5 for sure. But second, that for me came as a bit of a surprise when I saw that one.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. We're 7-1 since a certain dab happened, and that'll very soon be 11-1. So don't worry about that. But yeah, I think aimbots are high for me, and then I think Sugar Rush is actually a little low as well. No, they lost this past week, but they still look like a decent team that I think is on the cusp of that top 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out ahead and say that I think aimbots is misplaced. I think there's an overreaction to Tough Luck's loss here. One Last Ride is good. I think you'd probably put them in that top 6 or 7 group for sure. Like, I feel like there's a clear separation right now for the top 6, or the top 7 here. I think from there it gets a little tougher. Instalock is kind of in an interesting spot right now because they've undergone some changes. Invictus also is kind of an interesting spot because I feel like they're a good team, but I don't know if we can call them favorites against any of those teams ahead of them. So it's kind of an interesting spot. And Renovatio obviously undergoing major changes too. So Discord tier, it'll be interesting to see how this one pans out here, guys. The next, obviously, let's go back to the Harmony tier and have a little discussion. Some interesting things here, guys.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I mean, Maelstrom, obviously, they belong at the top. I mean, I put them at the top early in the season. I think they belong there. I think putting Jetpack Cats above Holy Jalapenos isn't something about the Jetpack Cats. We're not overestimating the Jetpack Cats, but I think we're underestimating the Jalapenos. Maybe this list was made before their dominant victory over Illusion. I definitely think they need to be a little higher, and I'd probably put DDoS a little bit lower.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I like what DDoS is as a team. I just don't know if I see them at number 8. I look at Minty Hippos especially, and I think that's a team that's just not as well known in the community yet. I think they have the potential to climb as the power rankings go on. I also think the Careless Pandas are low at 4. I know they had two forfeit losses there, but I think I still put them ahead of Karma and Vitamin C, to be honest.
I think I kind of agree with Specs on that one. I think what I would say my top my top five would be it's definitely those five right now. But I would have probably Maelstrom, then Vitamin C, then Careless Pandas, then Karma, then Illusion. Um, the thing is, it's hard to gauge with the Pandas right now just because of the 2 forfeit losses, and they just haven't. They don't.
Might cut out.
Oh god damn it! So where did I cut out?
Careless Pandas with the 2 losses.
Yeah, so they have the 2 losses, right? But it's even with those 2 losses being forfeits, right now they don't seem as strong as they were in the preseason. So that's where I'm kind of hesitant to put them higher or to keep them there.
I think the interesting thing for me is I think Karma over Vitamin C is bad, and that's coming from a player on Karma. We need to prove that first, and we're going to hopefully do that this week. But I would say for me, the biggest shock is probably DDoS above Minty Hippos. I just don't see it with DDoS. They're undergoing a lot of changes right now, and I think they're struggling against good teams. I really think they are. They were benefactors of an overtime gaming forfeit, and their other win is against Spare Change. They've had losses against Maelstrom, and they've had a loss, I believe, against I can't remember off the top of my head all of a sudden, but I just don't know if DDoS is quite there. I feel like maybe they're falling. They're not in the best. They're not in the best situation. It's going to be interesting to see how these power rankings shape out the rest of the season here, guys. So let's make sure keep an eye on that, because I'm very curious to see when we look back at this week 15 where we were week 4. You know, will we see Maelstrom still at the top of the Harmony tier? Will we see Commit still at the top of the Discord tier? It's going to certainly be interesting. Let's move on now to the next segment that we have planned for today, and that is a little discussion we want to have about new players in the community. Let's have a I'm just going to address, there's somebody commenting in the chat. If you have questions about that, reach out to Cavalier. He can address it. I don't want to address it any further. So moving on back to the Discord tiers, or the new players in the community. So obviously at the beginning of the season, we talked about returning players to watch. Discord tier, oh my gosh, I'm so flustered right. New players to watch are something that we wanted to do after the new players had an opportunity to establish themselves. I know a lot of people were crying out, hey, what about me? I'm brand new here. Well, we know you were new, but we wanted a chance to get to know who you were first. So we took the opportunity now to break down a group of people from each role in each tier who stand out to us, who have stood out to us. So we're going to start off with the Harmony tier, and we are going to begin, of course, first with the tanks. So moving on here is to tanks, and we're going to break down 3, and that's going to be me. So the first one I want to talk about is Yeti. Not me. Don't get me wrong. Not me. It's Yeti from the Careless Pandas. We talked about Yeti before as being a standout tank. I do think that as Careless Pandas have gone on, I think we've seen Yeti's performance maybe not quite as strong. I feel like he struggles on Orisa. I just don't see the same strength with Orisa as I saw with his other tanks. But that being said, it's kind of he's still a really good tank. And if you listen to his stream, he's very vocal. He's a very good communicator, very good in-game leader. He does a lot for the Careless Pandas and is a big reason why they are seen as the big threat that they are. Another tank that stands out to me is Rigmadon from the Fighting Potatoes. It's the best tank that the Potatoes have ever had. They've been around for 3 seasons. They haven't had a tank of that caliber. Obviously, his Reinhardt is incredible. We've seen that. We saw that last night. It was a pretty controlling tank performance from Rig. And this is, by the way, he had flown back from Europe the same day. I believe he landed like 2 or 3 hours before the match. So... Damn. Perspective there, everyone. It's kind of a big thing on that. And then last but not least for me certainly is Surfy. Now, Surfy was a guy who he showed up actually in the preseason free agent showcase as a tank. And Sushi created Vitamin C this season and brought in Surfy as one of his tanks. Surfy has done a really good job, especially on the Orisa. With the prevalence of Orisa in the current meta, Surfy is positioned very well to be a very strong tank. He's not really getting talked about, but really not many of the individual players on Vitamin C are being talked about at all, despite the fact that they're 4-0. We talk about Ruru and we talk about Triage from Maelstrom, and we talk about how good Crispy's been lately. We talk about how good Yeti is, how good Dim Ryan is. We talk about Karma. We talk about how good Stanky and Cryogenics and Splinter are. But we're not talking about any specific players on Vitamin C for some reason. That seems like a silly thing. So, yeah, I feel like the tank situation in Harmony Tier is really interesting. There's a lot of really good new tanks, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree. I mean, I think we are also sleeping a little bit on Vitamin C individually. I mean, we see their good record as a team, but we're not really talking about their players that much. But I see other teams. I want to talk about a pair of tanks that do well together. That's Boot and Blue from Jetpack Kids. I feel like individually, they're really solid players, but when they're in the match together, you could tell that they have a lot of synergy and they really play off each other really well. I feel like that's a very important thing to have, especially in a Harmony tier.
For sure. I think really going off of what Yeti said, Yeti is the one that really stands out. We kind of been saying it since day one, but he definitely seems like he's taking a lot of the lead with how the Careless Pandas are playing and how they're kind of moving forward as a team. And that's one guy I can really see pushing for not only a championship, but an MVP as well.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely agree.
All right, so that's the end of the Harmony tanks discussion here. We're going to move now to the Harmony tier DPS.
I made a DPS list. I put Dim Ryan from Careless Pandas. I mean, that's an obvious choice. I think there's no doubt about that. As far as new DPS go, I also put Ruru from Maelstrom. I mean, just new player. You know, Triage got a lot of attention at the beginning, but he gets the space he needs to operate because Ruru's there taking up the slack on the other DPS, and they make a nice little pincer maneuver there. It's really tough to beat. And then the other one I wanted to talk about was Johnny Robot. I played against him in a comp match once. I had no idea who he was. I was like, "Oh, is this guy on the jalapenos?" I think, yeah, okay. And then he just wrecked our team. I mean, we just had no answer for the Doomfist. And so he made a name for himself that night for sure. In person, I were taken by surprise. And then I think he took Illusion by surprise too.
Yeah.
So yeah. So definitely he's somebody to look out.
Yeah, really going off of that. We've been, again, another Pandas player. We've been kind of praising all season, Dim Ryan. Not the best performance in the Widow 1v1, but that doesn't necessarily make a good DPS player. His flexibility and his ability to kind of adapt to what his team needs him to do is what I really think has him standing out. And then, like you were saying, Yeti, that Doomfist yesterday, absolutely scary. Absolutely scary.
Nick, are you still pulling Johnny Robot's fist out of well, yeah.
Places, yeah. I think we are.
Harmony tier DPS, there's a lot of really good ones. I'm just kind of, I might be partially biased on this one, but I think a guy we're going to be talking about later this season is somebody on my team, not Landvetter. Landvetter's really good. Splinter.
Oh yeah.
I was surprised. I thought you were going to say Land.
I love Land. Land is insane. Land is insane. But Splinter is he's turning into a bit of a DPS Chad right now. It's kind of insane.
He's so flexible too. He plays so many different heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So a little biased, openly admitted, but I'm just saying, Smugs called in week 1. He'll be in the MVP conversation at the end of the season. The big bold statement there from the season 2 MVP. So we'll see how that goes down. Last but not least in the Harmony tier is our supports. And Specs, I think you had a list of those.
Yeah, as a new support main, clearly it's the backbone of a team. I really focused on not only new players to the community as this list is, but also focused on players from new teams in the community. So the 3 I had that really stood out to me were Seaman from Careless Pandas, Klaus from Minty Hippos, and then Capital from Vitamin C. I think these are all 3 teams that have both been or that have all been very successful. And I think this kind of all stems from their support line. Seaman with the Careless Pandas, again, that's another player that just there's a lot of leadership in that team, and I see them really gelling together, been a little rough the past couple weeks, but I see that coming around, and I see C-Man being kind of their main catalyst for that. Going over to Klaus from Indy Hippos, to me, that's a team that kind of surprised me, from the beginning this season. I didn't really expect a ton out of them. And seeing what that team's been able to do together and seeing, how their support line is really not only enabling their tanks and their DPS to do what they need to do, they're also kind of taking that extra step forward to, pop off when they kind of need to. And then another individual, Capital from Vitamin C, what he's able to do in his aim is something that I think is hard to kind of find at the Harmony tier level. And it's someone that I've kind of talked to a little bit, and he seems, he really wants to improve, get better day by day. And I see him and that team improving as the season goes on.
Okay. I see that. I think we lost Nick. There he is. He's back.
Oh, he's back. Nick is back.
Okay. I definitely wanted to talk about those. I think you mentioned a Minty Hippo earlier, and I think the one that stands out to me is Maxi. Maxi does a lot of big brain stuff for that team. I've talked to them. I'm IRL friends with a lot of them, and they all tell me that Maxi was just a great addition to their team, and really just kind of like helps kind of keep their big picture together. As like a support can do, kind of seeing the whole field can really kind of lead that team on the field.
A support that I was going to mention is actually somebody that Triage mentioned, Reach from Maelstrom. Maelstrom obviously has had a full, complete team improvement this season, but Reach has been a big part of that as well. So I do want to mention that is a big, big impact onto that team without a question. All right, moving on now to Discord tier. We're going to go start off with tanks, and I have a small list of tanks here, guys. The list that I have is a group of 3. First one I was going to bring up is Rock Jumper from Tough Luck. So obviously Tough Luck has tons of people from last season who are serious MVP candidates. We're looking obviously at Kingdom and Smugs and Grumpy Pants. Now combine that with people like Zuby, Coach's Solo Cup from last season. Combine that with some really good powerhouse level players coming in like Anarchy and Beats. And then you throw in Rock Jumper. Now, Rock Jumper was a guy they picked up just off the server, just random guy. And he has come in and been an absolute force on main tank. It's at the point where Kingdom doesn't play main tank really anymore, which is fine. Because Rock Jumper is that dominant. And that's not a slight on Kingdom. That's just how good Rock Jumper is. I think Rock Jumper is arguably the best main tank in the team. And I think as the season goes on, I think everybody else is going to see that too. Cool Sam for Meteors as well. Beyond the fact that he kicks ass on the VODs and kicks ass on the halftime show and on commentary, he's a really good off tank too. I remember seeing a Twitch clip from him in the beginning of the season. I think it was actually on Fresh Nuts too, where he just whole hogged an entire team off of Gibraltar. He just does these little things, especially on Roadhog, that a lot of players don't do. And Roadhog being where he's at in the meta right now, I mean, not only that, Cool Sam also plays a really good diva. What's in the meta right now, guys? It's going to be curious to see how Sigma comes in and changes things. Oh, by the way, Sigma's live next week, guys. Don't forget. Cool Sam is a really good tank. And the last one here is Modern Lion from One Last Ride. One Last Ride has come in early, made a big impact, and I think a lot of that is because of the tank skills of Modern Lion. Is really, really, really good on that Orisa. That's so critical right now. One Last Ride looks to be positioning themselves for a big run this season, and a lot of that has to do with Modern Lion on that.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. Modern Lion, just another one of those tanks that we really haven't mentioned up until this point, but I definitely think is worth mentioning. For me, I think I wanted to also bring the attention of Big Marf. I mean, finally, Instalock gets a good off tank that isn't going to feed. Yeah, their last guy, I think he removed from the server or something. He was that bad. Big Marf's definitely stepping up and filling the void that they needed on that team. And maybe the match would have gone the same way if Harmony had their 2 DPS players, but I feel like Instalock's definitely making some big improvements, and it definitely has a better forecast going forward with Marf on that team.
Yeah, talking about Marf especially, kind of seeing what he does behind the scenes with us and how he kind of works together with our team. Huge leader, huge IGL that can really push us to the next level. But really going off of that list that Yeti had there, we'll agree with him with Rock Jumper. He is the best main tank in the community. Cool Sam's okay. Memes are okay. Yeah. And then I'll reserve my judgment on Modern Lion until after this week. So
After you lose to One Last Ride?
yeah, sure. Let's go with that one.
Always with the spice.
Always with. What you got for us, Nick?
I mean, Rock Jumper, top tank in the tier for sure. I maybe would have swapped out Cool Sam for my Big Marf, but other than that, I think I agree with everything else.
And again, these aren't necessarily the tanks that we think are going to be the best tanks. It's tanks to watch. You guys, we need to keep an eye on because I think they're going to make impact on. Not necessarily the best. I think that would be an entirely different thing. Maybe something you'll be seeing later this season. Stay tuned. So that's the end of the Discord tanks here, guys. Let's go to the DPS. And see, you got a little list for it.
I had a list of DPS. Okay, so first on my list, I put Godsent from Harmony and Chaos. He was absent this week. His team ended up getting 4-0'd. It happens to all of us. But he made a big name for himself a couple of weeks ago. He had just had some insane plays in that feature match against Tough Luck. I think definitely put himself right up there with people we've been talking about all season too, like Maxix. So I think Godsent's definitely what Harmony and Chaos needed to actually compete up there in the Discord tier. Top from Prodigious, definitely another amazing DPS to kind of keep your eye on. Prodigious doesn't always play the meta; they play whatever heroes they're best at, and I think that plays to their strength. That is their strength, and they're playing it, and it's working. Doesn't always work, but when it does, it works well. And then another one is Axiom from Commit. Commit's definitely a top tier team. I think right up there with the Meteors. So Axiom doesn't necessarily make a lot of great solo plays, but provides a lot of the pressure he needs for his team. And that's just super valuable out of a DPS player, is to just provide that constant pressure for your team to be able to move in and take the space and own that objective.
Yeah, to really go off of the Harmony and Chaos DPS line in general. Thank God they weren't there this week. I'm just glad I didn't have to see Maxix on Sombra, but that's a whole nother story. I think top from Prodigious is a player that going under the radar a little bit. I think the team as a whole is definitely kind of in that position. Haven't had any real, I would say, super difficult games yet. But I'm interested to see what they do against teams above them, and I think he's going to be one of the keys to success there. And then of course I'm going to have the bias come out, but I think Kuna is someone that needs to be talked about a little bit. So yeah.
If it makes you feel better, I had Kuna on my list of DPS players for the Discord tier.
Smart, very smart.
I don't think you could necessarily fall for that. But it does look good. And I know I made a comment that not actually top 10 that some people may have gotten really offended by, but
may have.
Another thing, stop getting offended by the podcast. Jesus. We're just a bunch of 30-somethings who think we know something about the game. I'm practically a low plat tank. Come on. None of my trash talk means it. DPS stands out to me, guys. I have to... A team that I think a lot of people are forgetting about in that kind of that top tier group is Prodigious. You talk about top, talk about Kaizen. Like, Kaizen was the dominant force in the preseason tournament. Like, the DPS who just shined against Meteors. Now, Meteors obviously was down J-Vice, which hurt them a lot. Me, Kaizen is a huge factor for Prodigious and their success in this community as a season. And then, again, kind of going back to that DPS thing, back to the Meteors is J-Vice. I feel like they need him to be as solid as possible right now, and I think he's doing a really good job. Now, they brought in Daly to fill a sub role last week, and I think it helped them a little bit. The return of the legend Daly made a big difference in that team. So, moving on past the DPS, then, guys, last but not least is the Discord support line. And Nick, you had a list for us on that.
Yeah, so my list is Veets from Tough Luck, Juke from Aimbots, and I Will Deliver from Sugar Rush. With a slight shout out to Specs on support for Instalock now. I mean, when I look at a player like his leadership, I don't look for a player that's just mechanically skilled, because I mean, Juke obviously has the mechanics, and he's obviously a top tier support. But I just think the positive mental attitude that he brings to a team, it can be huge. And I think that's why he's on my list for sure. Veets is there just because he's an insane support mechanically. And I mean, I Will Deliver. We kind of don't talk enough about Sugar Rush players. They're 3-1. They're a really good team, and they have really good players, and I Will Deliver is one of them.
Absolutely.
You brought up Juke, and I just want to say real quick, hands up, or big claps for Juke. He's amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
Not only
I was about to say the
as
same
a player,
thing,
but he has been instrumental in all of our success with production this season. Has done a lot for the community, a lot more behind the scenes that a lot of you don't see. Juke has been instrumental. So want to give a quick shout out from me to Juke, because without him, I don't think our production quality would be nearly where it's at right now. So, moving on now, actually, to talk about supports that I really like. Veets from Tough Luck. Pay attention to that name. That's about all I got.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing about Juke. Not just a support MVP, but just like a community MVP all around. Positive attitude for everybody, not just his team, not just his opponents, but everybody in the community. Helps out with production with Twitch. I mean, he does training for people. I mean, he just does so much for the team, and he's a Dallas Fuel fan, so we got to give him that too.
Gross.
But definitely agree with your list. Probably a number 4 for me would be Daft, Alt F4. I mean, Specs isn't going to talk about him, so I'm going to talk about him. If we had a stat tracker, I think Daft would lead in sleeps. Just sleep darts off the charts. I feel like that may be the case.
I don't know. I think Smirk from Invictus gives him a run.
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring it up for the org bias, but
in the tier,
he was in there.
Sure.
So sure. I don't know. I think Daft is right up there.
I think the two that weren't really talked about at all were Smart. It was Smark. He is insane, absolutely insane. And then the captain of Commit, Ice. I don't know how he was left off of that list. He is absolutely instrumental to that team, in game and out. And that's one individual that I again, going under the radar with what they're doing with their team individually. I think that's the name to really watch out for.
So, obviously, guys, that's the last thing we were going to talk about here with Discord supports. It was a really interesting week. Impers has been putting together these comms videos, and I do want to stress again, this is Impers's solo thing that he's doing without us directing him to do it. It's a really cool volunteer thing that he's doing, bringing content to the community, which we encourage. We love seeing this kind of content, guys. It's really cool to look at it, and it's really cool to have it and feature it, put it out in the spotlight, and give a more positive exposure for the community. So if you want to have a clip from your Twitch streams featured on the comms videos, please send them to Impers. Don't put them in the highlight montages. Send them to Impers. Make that clear. Impers has asked me to tell you all that he is going to be out of town from Thursday to Sunday this coming week, which means, I believe Thursday actually to Monday. So he is not going to be able to edit the comms video unless he gets everything he needs basically right away after the matches on Wednesday. So keep that in mind. Help the guy out. Get him what he needs. He'll put out a comm video for us because he's awesome like that. But that said, without further ado, here's a comms video for week 4.
I'm going to make this quick. This is your halftime show presented by Cool Sam 69.
Oh boy.
Ba-bam! Ba-ba-ba-bam! Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum.
Bramble Jam. Oh. Black Betty.
Whoa, Black Betty, bam a lamb. Whoa, Black Betty, bam a lamb. Black Betty had a child. Bam a lamb, the damn thing gone wild. Bam a lamb, she's old rock steady. Bam a lamb, I forgot the rest of the song. Bam a lamb, whoa, Black Betty, bam a lamb. Whoa, Black Betty, bam a lamb. Bam, bam. Bum, 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 bum. All right, that's all I got.
Nice. Hog one. Hog one. Hog one.
Get up, point.
I'm on more.
Trying to get out.
More behind.
Nice. We won the game.
Whoa.
We beat Illusion.
That was fun.
9 to 53. Well, new shield. I'm pushing.
Okay, I fed. Okay. We're gonna pretend that didn't happen.
Can we take our halftime now? Because I need to go put some.
That's fine. Just go, go, run.
He fucking.
Right.
I didn't literally. I didn't literally mean run.
Go, push. Anna in the back, Anna in the back.
I was going for an uwu.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Ooh.
We pick now. You're an all-star.
Do I try to unpick or I do wasteland?
Crossfade. Pick Mercy. Da-na-na-na. Oh, I should have said heal Arfara. Damn it!
Well, Mama opened the door because she wanted them to explain to Alright, so no, open the door until she says no, because that's what she wanted. I said close the door. No, just close your ears.
Just close your ears, forehead.
Like...
Yep. 3,
2,
1. We go. It's like Goku. When he starts.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Well, that was intense, wasn't it?
It was over 9,000.
It was over 9,000. Shout out to Otaku Season 2, am I right? All right, guys, so that's the comms video for week 2. Again, thank you, Impers, for continuing to put together that, and thank you for your continued contributions to the Tranquility community. I know we all appreciate it. Guys, it's time to reveal a couple of fun things here. First and foremost, and I already talked about it a little bit, is the Overwatch Tranquility Community International Meetup Day. We're going to be announcing the date on that this coming week. Stay tuned. If you're interested in hosting a location, please let us know. You don't need to host it in your house, but if you're interested in having a meetup in your area, like if you're like, hey, let's meet up in LA, let's meet up in Minneapolis, let's meet up in Chicago, let's meet up in Dallas, let me know. We'll start helping you out and trying to get these events going. The next thing is, let's face it, us admins are power hungry. We love power. Am I right, NPC?
I do.
I love power, and I love abusing power. And I love it. It is my favorite thing, and I love it so much that it's causing the Tranquility community to literally crumble beneath. So that being said,
falling apart.
We're going to give you an opportunity to take out some anger and some aggression towards your admins. That's right. The admin pug night is coming. Bring it on. Myself, NPC, Cavalier, Thuggington, perhaps a little bit of an appearance from Smugs, Zuby, Gillimed. We'll all be there. I hope you will be too.
Smugs better be there.
Yeah, Smugs really needs to be there. He really needs to be there because we're going to need him. If you want to take us on, bring it on, bitches. We're here for you. So we'll talk about that, guys. You'll see a date coming out for that soon. And then last but not least, is the actual special event that I was trying to hype up. The next special event hosted by the Iris, Compliment the Widow 1v1. We now are bringing in a 3v3 elimination tournament tournament. Wow, I scuffed that. 3v3 elimination tournament, folks. It is coming on September 12th. Official registration for that will go out tomorrow, so make sure you're paying close attention to announcements. I'll have a sign-up form there. That, again, will be on September 12th. We'll knock out the whole bracket on that night, so be there or be square. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll make sure to be broadcasting that right here on this official Twitch channel for the Tranquility. Next is the favorite segment for everyone in this community, and that is predictions, where we all get to say things and make people angry at us. First and foremost, we have been keeping tabs on how the predictions have been going this season. We've been showing you these graphics and who's right, who's wrong. Well, right now, it's hashtag NPC was right, as he's showing up first in the prediction standings with 41 correct. The community, second with 40. Myself, and I at 39, Specs at 38, and then Thug, who may or may not be waiting in the wings, at 37, and Nick also tied for 5th at 37. So Specs was right, kind of?
I wasn't wrong.
He wasn't wrong. It's true. So let's go ahead, guys, and let's start breaking down what's going on this week. We do have a couple of buys, as you guys know. The Discord tier is Invictus, and Careless Pandas in the Harmony tier. Back to the Discord tier first. We do have the first one here is Alta 4 versus Commit, a straight panel and community sweep for Commit. Heavy favorites coming into the match. Next on the list is Harmony and Chaos versus Otaku. Again, Harmony and Chaos currently winless, the only winless team in the Discord tier. The community thinks that they will pick up their first win over the reformed Otaku. Next one is Meteors versus Eclipse, and again, a clean sweep of the panel and the community, thinking almost everyone with a 4-0 Meteors over Eclipse. Next on the list here is this one here, Aimbots versus Tough Luck. Bit of an interesting match. Power rankings number 2 and 3. Also in standings number 2 and 3. Guys, there's a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I see this match is where the aimbots have something to prove. I mean, Tough Luck has been kind of a favorite or an anti-hero, I guess, in their tier. And the aimbots they've come a long way since the beginning of the season. And I think they're only going to get better. I think they have what it takes to win this. It's going to take a little bit of luck, if you know what I mean. But Tough Luck's going to have Kingdom back, and it may go either way. But I think aimbots have something to prove, and I think they're going to do it.
Yeah, speaking of teams that can't win a control map, let's be honest, aimbots are going to take the control map. So I really see Tough Luck kind of bouncing back after that, though. Missing Kingdom last week is huge. I think they're going to want a lot of revenge here, and they're going to turn it around.
Yeah, I agree with that one. For me, it's aimbots has to show us that they deserve that number 2 spot this week. Do I see it happening? There's a slight chance. I think Tough Luck's going to bounce back a lot stronger than they were last week.
I predicted 3-1 here. I'm going to stand by that prediction. I almost wanted to change it to 4-0. There's a serious chip on the shoulder of Tough Luck right now. There's been some trash talked. They're not really happy about it. I have a feeling we're going to see a very angry Smugs. And those of you who are around in Season 2 know an angry Smugs is a dangerous Smugs. Very. Be interesting match, guys. Be sure to tune in to either of those streams. It'll be a great Wednesday night viewing experience for you after your match. Next one here is Prodigious versus Renovatio. Prodigious, the favorite by the community and most of the panel, although disagrees. 2 for Renovatio. Next one on the list, we have One Last Ride taking on Instalock, and it was a clean sweep for everyone. One Last Ride taking out Instalock post dab. Can you believe it, folks? No way. And then last but not least is our Sunday feature match between Infeus Gaming and Sugar Rush. We see a panel sweep and a community sweep for Sugar Rush. Interesting?
Yeah.
Expected?
Yeah. I mean, Infeus is definitely starting to come together. I think we're seeing some good things coming out of them right now, but just Sugar Rush, they've got something to prove after being defeated by the aimbots last week. I think I'm taking a similar position to what you said about Tough Luck, is that they took a loss that they may or may not should have lost, and they want to bounce back. They want to bounce back strong. Just Sugar Rush, we've been sleeping on them a little bit, but that's only get them motivated.
Yeah, I mean, not that another game that I definitely don't have any bias in at all whatsoever. But I think Sugar Rush is a very good team that they're starting to kind of show who they really are. I think Light Rose is starting to come together on the Orisa a little bit more, and I'm interested to see what their tank line does with Sigma coming into the game. But at the end of the day, I think they take this one pretty easily over Infius.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think everyone agrees. From what we see here, it's a 3-1 all around. I think it's time that we kind of stop passing Sugar Rush under the radar and really give them the respect they deserve, because they are a great team and their DPS are insane. And with Light Rose on there getting more comfortable on Orisa, that's just going to get better for them.
I think the key to where they end up is or where Sugar Rush ends up is dependent on their tank line success. Excuse me. I think we're seeing improvement from Light Rose as the season's gone on, and I think Kara is continuing to improve as well. I think that's the key thing for them, because we all know that Guac and Lays are incredible. And obviously the support line really isn't anything to worry about either. Obviously Delivers insane, but I have to give massive shout out to Sidereal. I think he struggled at times on the main tank last season. His support play has been stellar this season. Looks very strong. So somebody to keep an eye on for sure there. I promise I'm not dying. Now we're going to move on. Again, though, thing here is Infius Gaming, definitely not anybody to sleep on either. I know they haven't had a lot of success initially this season, but they haven't exactly been being blown out either. They're not a bad team. You can't overlook Infius Gaming here. I think they're going to put on a good show for us. I would expect to see them do at least fairly well here despite a 3-1. Anyway, I'm going to continue choking while I try to work my way through the rest of these predictions. Next one is Illusion versus Fighting Potatoes. We see a panel sweep, except for me. Long live the potatoes, going in the favor of Illusion. I can't pick any team that nicks on by rule. It's just
how it goes.
It's just kind of how things go.
We love each other, but we can't pick.
Yeah, no, I know. You'll see later. Next one is Pacified Pythons versus Minty Hippos. A clean sweep for Minty Hippos here. Next is Spare Change versus Maelstrom, and again a very blue screen. Maelstrom looks to go to 5-0, moving into the third or 1/3 of the way through the season. Very strong start for Maelstrom, as we've discussed before. Big match this week between the number 2 and 3 teams in the Harmony tier. Vitamin C versus Karma. I'm obviously absolving myself from this discussion. I am slightly biased, admittedly. But NPC, you picked Vitamin C here. Can you tell me why?
It's this. We're at the stage part of in the tournament where map differential is actually starting to matter. Okay, if Karma can take the win, even if it's just a 3-1, they'll overtake Vitamin C for the second place spot, and then it'll also mean that Maelstrom could possibly move to the 5-0 and have 2 game differential. But if the game even goes to a map 5, Karma stays in the 3rd place, and Vitamin C stays in 2nd place. So I went Vitamin C. It really could go either way. It's going to be a really close match, but I feel like the map differential is actually starting to matter now, and a lot of teams, they kind of forget that. And once they lose that 3rd game, they're like, it's over. Quick play time. That's not the case. Map differential matters, and this is an example of that. It's going to affect your standings later.
As a team that made it into the playoffs last season off map differential, definitely kind of agree with that. But I picked Karma here. I think they're a team that is very solid from the front line to the back. I think Cryogenics is fantastic. I think, much as we meme on him, Yeti's a pretty decent off tank, and I think they have a DPS line that can really
#Specs is right.
Oh god. And then they have a DPS line that can get into the heads of Vitamin C. I see them winning the first map and then really kind of steamrolling it from there. I wouldn't be surprised if this game did go to 5 maps though.
Yeah, I mean, for me, what I think kind of slightly edges Vitamin C over Karma, thus the 3-2 for Vitamin C. I'm sorry, Yeti, I still love you. Is Vitamin C's team play. I think that they're just I think that their cohesion and their team play just slightly edges out Karma's, and that's just what's going to give them the win. Everyone on Karma has skill and really good players, but I think it all comes down to the team play.
Hashtag Specs is right. That's all I'm saying. That's not about the prediction. That's about Yeti being a decent off tank. All right, moving on here, guys. Next on the list is Holy Jalapenos versus Boop. Community picks Holy Jalapenos to keep the momentum going here over Boop, still looking to get that first win. Next on the list is DDoS versus Boop. And again, wait, what? That's not accurate at all. Tough production here, guys.
Boop plays DDoS next, so I'm not sure who the Jalapenos play.
Yep, I have the wrong picture there, but that's okay. We will continue. Yeah, it's Jalapenos versus Comets, and that was a clean sweep for the Jalapenos over Comets. Sorry about that. Again, I edit these at 1 a.m. because I have way too much going on in my life. So apologies, everyone. Next on the list here is the final match, the Tuesday kickoff, Undead Battery versus Jetpack Cats. Going to be an interesting one here, guys. I think Undead Battery, benefactors of a couple of forfeits without question, but look to be improving. And then the Jetpack Cats had a 4-0 at the beginning of the season against Karma. But since then, they've looked really good. Everybody picks Jetpack Cats here. NPC, I know you're a little biased here. Your Battery boys.
Yeah. Not everybody picks Jetpack Cats. You know, it's tough. I mean, the Jetpack Cats have been playing together for a very long time. They've had a lot more time to build synergy than Undead Battery, but Battery is fully charged and they're ready to keep the cats on the ground this week. I know that Melts and Upsetting are going to give us a run for our money, but I think it's going to be one heck of a show. I love being part of a feature match, especially when it's teams that are close. If it's just a blowout, nobody wants to see that. So I think this game is going to be closer than the 4-0s predicted.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I think this is going to be one of those cases of a close 4-0. I think Undead have the potential to take a map or two, but I think just the quality of Jetpack Cats is going to shine through in the end.
I mean, Jetpack Cats have been playing together as a team just much longer. I think that's what it comes down to. Undead Batteries will find their place in time, but I just think that the fact that the Jetpack Cats have been playing together just a little bit longer kind of helps edge them.
I think it's going to be an interesting match, but I think Jetpack Cats are going to win. I think it's going to be a pretty handily won. On the backs, the best DPS duo in the Harmony tier, in O and Melts, and then throw in Upsetting, and that's a spooky team right there. The critical piece for Jetpack Cats that has helped with their improvement is the consistent tank improvement of Blue and Boot. They have gotten significantly better as the season has gone on, and that is the main reason why we are seeing Jetpack Cats start to flourish as the season is going on here. So pay attention to that, guys. Jetpack Cats are going to be good. It's going to be a fun match tomorrow. Be sure to tune in. We will have Kingdom on the play-by-play there, so should be a lot of fun. One of Tranquility veterans bringing you guys that match coverage. And then we again, as a reminder, we do have our feature matches this week. Undead Battery again versus Jetpack Cats tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern Time, and then our Sunday feature match is Sugar Rush versus Infeus Gaming. That's at 8:30 Eastern Time as it's currently written. That those times are subject to change, so if something does change, we will be sure to let you know. That is going to wrap up the podcast here, guys. Just about an hour. Wow, we're at a really good time here, despite all my scuff. Thanks everybody for tuning in. For NPC, Specs, and Nick, Keep Your Yeti. See you next time.
Experience tranquility.